am Kira858, and we're here with our brand new campaign, Reclamation Season 1, Episode 13. We're glad to have you with us as we continue the story of House Chiron. We're going to jump right into the session, but first, let's introduce our cast, have to say who they are, who they're playing, and any projects they're working on. And so we'll start first, of course, with our fantastic friend, Reeve. Reeve, would you like to talk about yourself?
Hello, everyone. I am at Big Dude Re on all the various socials, so you can go there to find out everything I'm up to. Tonight, I will be playing Kashawn, the elder brother, and hopefully slightly curious about the dangers of this place that we're now in, and hopefully that won't get my family killed. We don't know. And PSA, people, do not drink coffee after 8:30 in your time, whatever. It is not safe.
We may need confirmation of this statement. Speaking of that, let's transition to one of our coffee drinkers, Di. Di, would like to talk about yourself, who you're playing, and projects you're working on.
Yes, hi, I'm Di. You can find me at Dichromaniac on Twitter. You can also see me on around the Bear Pen on Follow Unbound. A couple more projects coming up, so keep an eye on there. Tonight I am playing Mare. She's the middle sibling, and she wants to try to protect her family, but that mimic could have been a very good friend until it wasn't.
Well, this still is our friend. What are you talking about? Nothing happened to the mimic? What do you mean? Next, we'll transition over to our other coffee drinker, Ari. You'd like to talk about yourself, who you're playing, and projects you're working on.
Hi, my name is Ari, and there is never a wrong time to drink coffee. Ignore what Reese said. Hi, you can also find me here on Rivenwood. You can find me over on the Bear Pen as Elijah and Blood on the Bayou, Katya on Fallout, and I am the storyteller friend Dead in Dallas, and I am also over on Ree's channel where I play Layla.
Perfect. We'll transition over to the neutral party members of this coffee debate. We'll start first with our fantastic DM, Zach. You'd like to talk about yourself, who you're playing, and projects you're working on.
Absolutely. You can find me online through my Twitter and other social media handles at Big Dude Re. You can also find me over on my twitch.tv Re-Rolls channel, where we have a lot of really cool, new, amazing stuff going on. So yeah, y'all should definitely check it out.
Now I'm curious what's going to happen next. We're going to transition over to Aaron. Would you like to talk about yourself, what you're playing, and projects you're working on?
Hello, my name is Aaron. You can find me at Big Dude Re or over at the Twitch channel Re-Rolls. I am playing Timmons, the best butler, and I am far from being a neutral party in the coffee debate. I just know how to keep quiet while I'm sipping my coffee.
What is different for you? Where you're at right now, it's 8 o'clock in the morning right now? 6?
It's not that early, thankfully.
Okay.
But I routinely have coffee very, very, very late at night / very early in the morning. So.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, all right. So we have 3 members on the coffee is anytime escapade.
I have been betrayed.
Your old butler.
Technically, you were warned.
As for yours truly, I am Kira858. I'm one of the few individuals that don't drink coffee. Thank you, ADHD. Of course, I play lovable sweet bean Abrea. And you can find, of course, all of our content listed here at the Cookout TTRPGs, as well as our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Kira858. We have a wide variety of TTRPG content, from Riverwood Academy to a bi-weekly campaign called Gods of Color. We have Fractured Destiny, which I'm pretty sure is the only campaign dedicated to a group of sextuplets, a Mist, Light, and Shadow, and so much more coming up in the near future. So make sure to keep an eye out on all of our content at twitch.tv/Kira858. And of course, here, in terms of announcements, we only have one major announcement, and that is one of our campaigns, Gods of Color, has his brand new dice set that just came out called the Prismatic Pantheon. You should be able to see the link in the description section below, and if you use the promo code COOKOUT, that is COOKOUT, you can get a discount off your purchase. And then you too will be able to roll like a demigod. And with that, I'm going to transition over to our fantastic DM, Zach, take it away.
last we all left off on our clever little tale about House Chiron and their ascent to wherever they decide they might be going. We are still in our little dungeon below the surface, what seems to be a magical prison of some kind, where you met some fantastic individuals recently, like the crazy monsters that tried to stampede over you, which you killed, and a nice little mimic lock named Locky, who then consumed the bodies of said dead demons, and is kind of following you all along, except for you have expressed some interest in going to see the large lion in one of the other dungeon rooms, and Locky has said, "No thank you, fam, I'm going nowhere near that." So with that said, I will pass it back to the players. You are currently all back reunited in the first room of this dungeon, getting your bearings and having conversations amongst yourself about what to do next.
Everyone feeling?
I feel much better now. Not really fully recharged, but I mean, definitely much better than before.
One else?
Everyone else okay?
Yeah, just think about how we're going to get out of here.
Well, I'm of the opinion that there's probably only one way out.
It feels like this was meant for Kashat, so I'm pretty sure it was for Kashat to find what he's supposed to find. Bing! A door open somewhere.
Regardless, our continued survival is of the utmost importance. I believe it may be wise for us to stay here at least for a few hours. That last battle took a lot out of everyone.
That's true. Wait a second. Zach, the entranceway, was there like how was it sealed? Like, was it just like a rock placed on over it, or was it like a door came from like the heavens on down and closed everything up? Like how how was the door sealed up?
Yeah, so when you originally saw the door, it seemingly opened automatically, inviting your party, and the stone literally moved, like almost like it was creating a door for you. The stone literally slid over the other part of the mountain and opened into a door. So when y'all went down, it closed behind itself and sealed into like a plain of rock wall. So think of it like it made a door for you and then magically resealed itself behind you.
Got you. And to clarify, there wasn't like any like empty spaces or anything like that, right? It was pretty much sealed shut.
Mm-hmm. And you on that side did not see any like writing or anything that might indicate how to leave either.
Gotcha. So there's no way I can like transform into an ant and then crawl out.
So it would be considered like hermetically sealed. So an ant wouldn't work. But there are potentially ways. I'm not sure if any of you have any of them at your disposal, but you're welcome to try things if people would like to leave. That's completely fair.
Oh no, just kind of curious. I just thought about like if there was like because I would also try to think like how air was coming through. So I was wondering if maybe there was like a little slot underneath the door that had like air coming through that maybe like a very small insect would be able to crawl underneath. But presumably, I guess the air must be coming through a different way. So it's all cool.
About the rest of you, do you wish to take a break or do you wish to push forward?
I'm fine either way until we decide to rest for the evening.
Okay, so remember on the left is where they had the giant cat with wings that ate my owl. And then on the right was an empty space that I could see.
Avoid encountering other creatures for now. Not at our best.
Okay.
I am feeling rather fine myself, so if some scouting needs to be done, I am quite interested to see this cat for myself.
Not for now. We'll explore the empty pathway first.
Okay. Where do you want to go?
Is everyone recovered enough to walk?
Indeed.
Very well. We can go for now. Stay close together and do not trust this place. I do not want any of you getting separated.
Brea will look towards Shay. It's like, well, how are you feeling?
Feeling a lot better. We could move. It's fine.
Brea just like do like a once over on their wounds just to make sure it's not like a Shay, I'm covering everything type vibe and I'm really hurt, or they actually look pretty good. Okay. All right, so I guess we head towards the right. Boom, boom, boom.
Head towards the right. So do you mean that you would like to head down? Because to the right is where you all met Lockie.
Oh, it was
So this is to the right.
Down.
The unexplored area you had found was down.
Oh,
and
sorry.
then the lion-like creature was to up. So did you mean down?
Yeah, I meant down.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
I'm sorry. I was
problem.
thinking straight left or right. But yeah, so that okay, makes sense. Okay, so it's up, down, straight. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so right, down, we're thinking about the same thing.
Okay.
Cool. So this room is where you all end up.
It's quiet. Does anyone sense anything?
Well, remember I detect something before, but it doesn't really help at short distance. I could bring out another owl and have them take a look around and see.
Is there a limit on how many times you can create these owls?
Oh, I could do like 2, and then I need to take a break. But they last
Leave
a
it
while.
for now.
Okay.
Just in case, I would like to I'd like to have it for later. Amanda, do you see anything in here? Any hidden problems?
Who's that for?
Yeah.
I don't, I can definitely take a look and see. Can I roll the perception check and see if I see anything in the room?
Yeah, go ahead and roll me a perception check. And then, Mare, what did you get on that perception check?
I got a 3.
Excellent. Well, not great, but excellent. So with that, you can see that the room seems pretty plain. which is a bit odd in and of itself. You've encountered a strange web that Kashad was able to cut, made of colorful energy. You've encountered horse demons that wield spears and attempted to charge over you. There's apparently a lion in some other room. This just seems to be a room, and it's not even circular or constructed properly. It has like a couple of weird outcroppings, but you don't see anything particularly different about those outcroppings. It just looks like the room is oddly shaped.
Okay, I want to sort of stealth around the edges of the room, try and like map it out and see like what else I can sort of find in here, if there's anything.
Okay, roll me a stealth check.
I stealth the opposite way.
Oh, that's a natural 20. So that's
Very good.
26.
And yes, you may. Timmons, roll me a stealth check.
$23 for me.
Okay, you're both doing very good. Timmons and Mare, you both make eye contact as you head out in different directions, give each other like a nod of acknowledgement, and then as you round small bends in the room, promptly lose sight of each other as you both enter into very good stealth mode, considering that you're in a plain room where it's quite difficult to hide. You map out the room. It looks like the little outcroppings could maybe have been used as like separate rooms with a tiny bit of privacy, or like maybe small jail cells at some point in time. You don't see any gates, you don't see any beds, you don't see anything really. And as far as in this room, you don't sense any presence of activity. Doesn't seem like anyone is really utilizing this room.
Does there appear to be any like leftover artifacts from what it could have been used from before? Like, even though there's nothing modern, is there like, I don't know, does something look like there would be an altar or like a mine or like a tool of some sort?
No, so that's kind of what I was saying, is like those bedroom, jail cell, altar area, like those all occur to you. But whatever it used to be, there are no remnants of anything in this room.
Gotcha. So, wow. That's really interesting. Okay, I will wait until I stealth back to discuss this. So I'll just keep stealthing.
Mm-hmm.
Same, stealth back.
Okay.
What? There's literally nothing in here.
I mean, the construction of the room is quite interesting.
Sure.
That there's nothing left. It's very strange.
How convenient. I feel as if the creature would be able to reveal whatever was in this room. It feels as if we are being funneled in no particular direction.
DM, may I do a divine sense of where we are?
Sure. Where would you like to be standing when you do that?
I'm not entirely sure where we all are right now.
Oh, we're on roll 20. You go to roll.
Yeah, I'm on roll 20.
Currently, you were in the initial room where you fought with the creatures. Then you moved over, and there was that sort of intersection room that you all passed through. And then you have gone either to the right from your character's perspective or down from the perspective of the map and ended up in this room. So you're in the room that you see currently. All of you are kind of collected together now that Maravina and Timmons have come back. And so I'm just asking, where in the room, this particular room, you'd like to be when you activate that.
I'd like to try and get maximum effectiveness because I have a 60-foot radius. So, in the middle?
Roughly center of this room? Okay.
Yeah.
So, you, with Divine Sense, are able to sense celestials, aberrations, and fiends. Is that it?
I can detect good and evil. I can sense anything affected by the Hallow spell, or know the location of any celestial fiend or undead within 60 feet that is not behind total cover. So if this place feels just super empty, my general mindset is maybe there is some kind of divine magic or other magic around it. And right now I cannot detect magic because I'm all out of juice, but I can divine sense.
If you're looking at the map, this area that I'm pinging here, you get the faintest wisps of like the good aligned energies that would have been detected were something affected by the Hallow spell. This whole general area here, but it's just a very faint sense.
As if it's fading.
Yeah, like you probably would associate this from your training as a paladin, where they may have brought you to a like a more remote site that's fallen into disuse in Dargonia, and then kind of had you expand your feelings, your divine senses. And then it's that just the faint wisp, like as a good aligned creature, it might make you want to bring that type of energy back to this place. Did you have the power? Like, this is clearly a place that once was awash with holy energies. And at the moment, there's just lingering energy left behind from whatever was here once before.
And mostly in that direction that you pointed out to me.
Yeah, all of it in this direction.
Left side. I guess for us it would be right. If we've just come down, it would be to the right, yes?
From your character's perspective, yeah.
Okay. So I walk sort of out into the middle of the room and put my hand on the ground and close my eyes for a second and extend my senses and feel all of that, and interesting. And I'll walk back to the group. To the right-hand tunnel, at least, there's a concentration of leftover divine magics, things that would have been used to hallow the ground, or it's a feeling of general divine goodness in that direction, but faded. So I'm not sure if anything is deeper in that way that might be useful or helpful, or if what was there is completely depleted.
I would like to go over to this divine feeling.
One more thing I'll give you, Adrian. You, while you do not have access to the Hallow spell, are somewhat familiar with the things that it can convey. And you recognize that the hallowed area was previously subject to the everlasting rest effect, where bodies interred in the area could not be turned into undead. That was the particular additional effect on the Hallow spell.
Interesting. Would you like us to accompany you, Master Kashad? I can at least tell
You you should join me because you can sense whatever this is. The others should stay back just in case there's an issue.
Understood. And I will join Kashad. It does seem that whatever or whomever had consecrated this place had done so in a fashion to prevent bodies laying at rest here from being able to be turned into undead.
What purpose? Do you sense any undead here?
I didn't get any feeling like that. Didn't get the feeling of any particular creatures around us, which is a good thing. It was more the divine magics. I can try again once we are deeper into wherever this leads.
There's a limit on how often you can do that.
I can probably function with mustering that kind of concentration about twice more. It is more of an instantaneous awareness than a lingering effect, though. So if we keep our eyes and ears peeled enough, I imagine, then once we feel we've come far enough, I can try again.
Do I feel anything, Dungeon Master?
When you approach the area, yes, you feel a pressure in the back of your head. It's like a headache, but not the piercing kind, like the dull throbbing kind.
Does it, as I walk around, does it get more or less intense, or is it, like the same?
No, it actually stays the same as you approach and walk around the area.
All right, it doesn't seem there's anything.
You gather that it's probably asking something of you for that to be happening, but you don't know what it is. Intrinsically to the sense, you know it probably wants something from you, but there's no communication of what that thing might be.
Give me a moment, Jethan. And I will try to use my telepathic, what is it called? Telepathic speech to kind of speak to whatever it is.
Whatever it is
that's possible.
That you can feel in the back of your head.
That is great.
Good idea. You connect with the lingering ache in the back of your head and forge a telepathic connection with it. You can gather faint whispers, and it comes to you in like flashes of images. You see 5 people all arrayed together, wearing purple robes, threaded with gold and flecks of red. They all seem to be communicating in some sort of a ritual around this area. In the centerpiece, there is a lion creature, and it looks a bit wrong. The lion is bound. There's rope tied around its jaw to prevent it from moving it. The creature's legs are strapped to the ground with manacles. And you get just a flash of this, a second or two. And then it transforms, and you see all of those people are gone. And instead, there's one creature here. It is a woman who has yellow wings sprouting out of her back. And as she comes to this area, you get the strangest sense that she can feel the pain of the creature from the previous image, almost like she has a mental connection to it. And then she begins to cast a spell, and it flashes again. You see her, you cannot tell how long she has been there, but she's clearly absorbed into this process. And right before the connection severs, you see that something has gone very, very wrong. As this woman casts her spell, dark energies leap up from the place, and you see she breaks her concentration on the previous spell and casts a different one instantly to try to deal with the dark energies. As you watch, the last image you see is the transfer of the dark energy stopping, and the woman's hair slowly changes colors from sort of like a silver blonde. It begins becoming streaked with black, and then the connection is severed.
What is going on here? While he can still remember it clearly, he will describe what he saw, focusing on the robes of the people and the appearance of the woman. Jonathan, do you recognize anyone bearing those insignia?
What would you like me to roll for that, DM?
Religion or history, whichever you prefer.
They're the same. 11. Let's go for religion.
You are not aware of any holy orders that use that kind of investment.
All right.
Or anything like it, really. Purples, golds, those types of things tend to be more associated with royalty in general. So most, like, kingdoms might try to avoid the faith and the state from becoming too intermittent.
None of that rings a bell, Master Shad. It does strike me as odd, the colorations that they chose, as those are colors more often associated with royalty and governance than they are with religious orders. So perhaps whatever this is older than what any of us are aware of. DM, so that room we are currently in, it is also empty.
Currently, that is true.
And the size of it is as we see. The size of the room is as we see it here. It is not
correct. It is true to form.
Well,
anywhere else you felt a similar goodness in this chamber?
the strongest resonance of it wasn't here, definitely. But I do get the sense that it's likely that a lot of the area was probably steeped in such magics or residue before, but it's faded quite a bit over time. If, from what you describe, this entity perhaps was responsible for that initial spell, or perhaps those people as they disappeared. It's an odd connection. I am trying to imagine what they were doing to the lion, or what happened to them. Did they just disappear? Does this lion at all ring a bell as to that magical lion creature that we know about that is also responsible for, or that people say is responsible for the origination of the Leonin?
Not like uncanny, but there's some level of resemblance, to be sure.
Okay.
So it doesn't resonate to you as that must be the same thing, but it does give you the general sense they might be related somehow.
What was the name of that creature again?
Which one?
The special lion.
For the Leonin?
Yeah.
Let me see.
And I definitely know you have a name, but I cannot for the life of me remember what it is right now.
This is not good.
Oh no, it's gone.
Knowledge is forbidden.
Ah,
We must.
I see. It was named Leonid.
Okay. Interesting. I shall.
The best butler, fortunately, had it in her notes.
All right, I will put that in the notes here that apparently I can add to. The lion does bear a resemblance to the Leonid, but it's not exactly the same. Perhaps another relative or cousin of it.
Right, come, let's get back to the others. Beginning to wonder if I may not have made an assumption too soon.
Yes. I will follow Kashad back.
You all alright?
Yes. Yes, I'm alright. Could use a bit of a longer rest in a sense to make sure I'm in better fighting form, but I still have some capability left in me, so
Let's gather the others. My head is killing me. And once we arrive, is everyone still alive? Did they get eaten by a monster?
I will note that after you leave the space and kind of get out of that general outcropping, it does start to fade away from the back of your head, that feeling.
All right. Alright, so it is. It would be best for us to take a proper rest before going further. I have a feeling that the worst is yet to come.
Oh, okay. Well, where would you like to sleep?
Sorry, what time is it in game? Like are we talking
We know.
We don't know.
6?
Time means nothing in this chamber.
Some of us have a diurnal, clock.
Could have been weeks.
Do you have such a clock, Timmons?
Timmons only has it in such that she has woken up consistently at the same time every day for the last however many years. That's all she's got.
You expect that it probably isn't dark out yet, but otherwise are uncertain if that means 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock.
It does seem a bit early, don't you think?
It is early, perhaps. But I'm beginning to think that this is going to take a toll the more we go further inside.
I am of the opinion that it is perhaps unwise to stay here any longer than is strictly necessary. There is a vulnerability that comes with sleep that I'm not keen to experience.
If we're not comfortable moving forward until we've had a good rest and we don't know what's waiting for us, I think maybe we do need to rest here. And this room seems as good as any. Better than most.
But the other room, you only have one way to enter, so it'd be easier to keep watch if you went to the room in the entryway. This room, you have 2 spots. It looks like one from this side and that side. So you have 2 point of contacts that would make things easier to be found.
I find myself
very impressive. You've been doing your reading.
There are advantages, definitely, to Master Obeah's strategy. There are also disadvantages should we find ourselves backed into a corner. I do like the idea of us having a choke point during a watch. I don't like the idea of staying here. However, an army marches on 2 things: its stomach and its wakefulness. And
you're also, unfortunately, well aware, Sir Jethrin Cloudpaw, that the most defensible position in this room is the one that seems to be causing Master Kashad a great deal of discomfort.
Yes, I won't even bring it up. I think heading to the other room that Obeah has suggested might be the best.
Everyone on board with that?
I want to try to pull Kashad aside as we move.
Very well. What would you like to converse with Kashad about?
Mr. Kashad, can I be frank with you?
I speak freely.
I'm having a bit of difficulty understanding or maybe predicting what it is you will do next. You've done a lot of rushing forward on your own with no backup, and now you seem very reluctant to move forward at all.
It's because this place, it is different. You can feel it interfering with my mind on occasion. And we need to be finished with it before it is becoming influential over my thoughts.
That is concerning. I believe that we should get out of here as quickly as possible, if it is affecting you.
As do I. But I feel that whatever this wolf, this lion-like creature is, it will have the answers, but I'm beginning to wonder if this place is a proper prison, or if it was meant to capture something. If it is the former, then I do not believe that answers will be very forthcoming, and we are in no shape to fight something that can survive down here for who knows how long.
Perhaps. Well, if you are tired, I will make preparations.
Thank you, Timmons.
Of course, Mr. Sean. I'm gonna go get
Right,
tea.
everyone. Good.
Like English tea, not like the drink. I'm gonna go get the meal ready.
Timmons' bag is just tea. It's only tea.
It's not technically a bag of holding, but that's only because I am a Tetris master.
It's a bag of tea holding. You can just hold unlimited tea.
Yeah,
Only
that's all it can do.
No coffee. No coffee for Shay.
No.
Oh,
You should get like 6 days worth of coffee. That's what it.
Are you kidding?
This is just
It's
tea.
like 3 p.m. No one drinks coffee after noon.
Alright, well, we will begin, and we will set up watches while we're resting. I want for 2 people to be up watching at all times.
A question on everyone's supplies. I know I myself have a few javelins. Does anybody else have anything similar?
The closest thing I have would be darts. If
I'm
you're
afraid
looking
that
at
might be
throwing things.
too small, Miss Timmons.
I mean, I have my main spear, if that's...
I would probably best to keep that with you.
only thing I
My
have.
dagger.
Only thing I have for range, besides my longbow, is a light crossbow.
My idea wasn't not so much for range as it was for a makeshift barrier.
Oh,
Of sorts. And unfortunately, I cannot form a barrier with 2 javelins. If I had a few more, I could do something. But I shall trust in my heritage as I sort of like stamp down my double-bladed axe.
Hey, DM.
Indeed.
In the web room where there was the rack with the daggers, was the rack movable? And how many daggers were there again?
There were.
So I remember it was like 20 or something. I don't know. It was a large number.
There was,
There
yeah.
are a lot.
So there was, I think, 32 or 31. It's around there. Is the rack movable? I don't know. Do you attempt to move the rack?
Timmons stops what she's doing in her, like, making cucumber sandwiches, like, I wonder if it darts back off in the other room. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can move.
I can make an alarm.
He's also very good at Miss Timmons.
Just stated you all went out to go off on your own.
As you make it to the
I can
small rack
still
of
hear
daggers-
you.
As you make it to the small rack of daggers, well, actually, medium-sized rack of daggers, you put your hands on it to move it. It is certainly movable. It is not attached to the ground at all.
Do I think I can move it as one person, or will I need help?
It's one of those things where like it's doable, but it's also like a 40-pound rack with like 30 pounds of daggers on it. So, and it's kind of like an awkward, carrying furniture is quite awkward. It's shaped like that. So it would certainly be easier with help, but you could do it on your own. You'll just look like a mess carrying it back, like halfway waddling, like, yes, I've done it.
It'll be making some horrible scraping sounds along the way.
Seeing that's movable, I'll poke my head back into the other and be like, Sir Jethrin, if I could get your assistance for a moment.
Of course.
You said you wanted something that could perhaps, aid in barriers. This is the only, movable thing I see around here, but it has many pointy bits. Maybe it would be useful.
Yes. This is indeed a lot more helpful than just 2 javelins. I can function or fashion something that should work like a barrier with some of these blades and some of the javelins. And
the rack itself
Rhea has a spell that can assist us too. Yes,
honestly, I'm just looking for something that would either slow someone down or just give us a small heads up.
That's essentially what I would like to try and jerry-rig together.
Cool. She'll suggest to move it over, into the entry on the other side. And then leave you to your arts and crafts of getting it all set up as she goes back to making her cucumber sandwiches.
Yeah, so...
Any other... Good?
I will, while I'm trying to set this up, I will say, Mr. Smeravina, you have an eye for placement and details. I am going to attempt to put together a form of barrier as much as possible, at least to give a bit of space between ourselves and something else that might want to come in here, using some of my javelins and this rack and some of these daggers. Would you mind assisting me with your oversight?
No, of course. I wanted to get a closer look at the daggers anyway. This is perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. So with the rope and all these things, DM, Master of our fates, what can we roll to see how well we can construct something?
So there's a stone floor. So I assume you're not trying to make a palisade. I assume you're trying to fashion perhaps some sort of a noisy trap.
Well, hopefully if something would run into it, part noisy, part if they were running into it, maybe they would run into one of the spears or the javelins because I only have 2. But part noise, part hurt.
Right, but were you more trying to fashion, I'm saying, a palisade of some sort, or more of a trap? Because a trap is plausible. A palisade is going to be difficult because you're not pushing weapons into dirt. You're pushing it into stone, which obviously doesn't work. It's an actual cobblestone floor.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can. In my mind, I wasn't thinking of so much pushing it into the stone, so much as using the angles of this rack and rope to do that kind of stuff. Yeah, it wouldn't be a super functional palisade, more of a trap, but at least part palisade.
So you're fashioning the rack into a spiky wall?
Yeah, sort of.
With rope and weapons. That I can see. Go ahead and give me... Do you have any sort of crafter's tools proficiency?
I don't. This is why I thought to ask Maravina to assist me, because I know that...
But you are trained in survival, correct?
I am, yeah.
Go ahead and give me a survival check. Mary, were you going to help Jethan?
Yeah, I'm proficient in jeweler's tools. I could definitely...
Jewelry has aided you many a time. Lady Maravina, but it will not help you here.
Fair. No, just trying to help him build it. I don't have any survival though.
I was hoping that, in my mind, that Maravina would use her smarts to assist where I'm lacking.
Some talent that one might call roguish.
Yeah.
Maravina, that's fine. You can use the help action. It is, after all, what your subclass is wont to do.
Okay. So I would roll survival with advantage then?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. That's what that die gives. That's what that die gives. Okay. Well, we'll take that one. 14.
It's a mixture of like pride and disappointment as you spend a couple of hours doing this. Because on the one hand, you managed to make something pretty good with the tools that you have available to you. The downside is that you only had the tools that were available to you. So it will definitely lightly impede someone's travel. It will be an indicator. They will need to make some type of noise, likely, to go by it. Unless they are able to like fly or climb on the ceiling. But otherwise, it seems to accomplish what you want to do. And were someone caught completely unawares, they would suffer a bit of damage coming into contact with it, surely.
I will look at the thing that I've constructed with Mayor's notes. This is with what we have and where we are. I'd say this qualifies as impressive.
We did the best we could with what we have, and I think it will serve its function. Are there any leftover daggers that we didn't use as part of this?
That is up to you.
Well, if there are, I would love to keep one for myself as a souvenir and sort of inspect it over and see if it's worth anything or useful.
It's made of rope and spears. You could easily just reclaim however many you want in the morning.
Okay.
Perhaps they will even be improved with the blood of your enemies if you're fortunate.
Well, as good as that would be, having a middle of the night interruption would probably not be good either.
Indeed.
Brea, also there.
Where would you like to set up your spell?
Go right at the entryway. That way, if anyone enters, I can get a ping. It sends out a heart bell, so everyone should be able to hear it.
That's what I call teamwork, right there.
So, go ahead, Timmons.
Also, with my my dagger, that should make it more difficult for people to catch us unawares. But I am actually a little bit more concerned about the door that isn't than the door that is. This is the room that we entered the mountain through. A door that opened via magical means.
Oh, you think it can open again?
I mean, it has to, right? There's no such thing as a door that only opened once.
Unless, as what we saw with the webs, it opened only due to Master Kashad's presence.
I mean, if that was true, it would open now, wouldn't it?
Unless something wants Master Kashad here. I'm working on a lot of
something
conjecture.
that wants me here.
Are you implying that this prison was built for Master Kashad?
No, but...
Or people like him?
That is a possibility.
Well, I'm thoroughly unsettled. I appreciate that, Sir Jethvin.
I apologize, but we're in a situation. We should have the facts, or at least the ideas.
Yeah. Perhaps it was a good idea to stop and rest.
Okay, I'll go ahead and cast alarm on the entryway.
Bray, what does it look like when you cast alarm?
So their alarm is a bit different. Their alarm is actually, as they look into the ground, you see a flower kind of envelope from their hands, and as this flower opens up, you'll see like these bright green fireflies starting to float from out of the flower, and it wraps around the facility, and they're pretty much just circling the area as like they're on guard to make sure nothing comes through.
Excellent. And as you finish casting your spell, everyone hears an audible bing as No Name Yet leaps from your care and begins chasing the fireflies around.
Wait, no. They'll go ahead and run over to No Name Yet and grab it. Like, no, this is it's not for food. This is not for food. This is meant for watching, making sure we're safe.
Ma'am?
And then Scuba Mama kind of like place their chin on top of their head as you're looking like, wow, you I can't believe you was about to chew those things. That would have been bad.
Can I make a ranged attack to try to hit No Name Yet with like a piece of meat?
You just see it slide down their face.
You can certainly try.
Can I call it an unarmed strike? I don't know what to call that.
Piece of chicken count as a monk weapon? I don't.
It's a no, it does not. It is a ranged unarmed attack without proficiency. So basically, you start without your weapon modifier. No, you do not. You do not have
darts.
You do not know how to throw a piece of chicken like a dart.
I mean,
I am a gracious person. You are asking utter nonsense of me.
All right. I'll take all my proficiency bonus. I just think it would be easier to throw a dart. Never mind. It doesn't matter. I
don't think chicken is balanced for throwing. I don't think it's balanced for throwing, unfortunately.
Even a
you got a how much?
Worst projectile.
I got a 16. So
you got a 16?
Dice plus
you hit No Name Yet in the face, and they do not react, as they are still just like, they've been taken up into Aubre's care, but they're just staring at the fireflies, like making no more attempts to go attack them, but just watching the fireflies.
Well, I tried.
What they're going to do is they're going to grab the chicken from the ground and see if they can just like jab it inside of their mouth. So at least they're chewing on something that while they're staring at the firefly. It's kind of like, you know, how with ADHD you have like an external stimulus, even though if you're focused on something else to kind of help ease that stimulus a bit, that's what they're kind of doing. They're going to like jab the chicken right in their face while they're looking at the fireflies to kind of help with that a bit.
So it's much like if you've ever seen a baby being fed while their attention is on something else.
Oh, yeah.
Like, No Name Yet definitely opens their mouth, takes the meat, and then starts like chewing a little bit, but also just like continues dead eye staring at the fireflies while they bite.
Sounds about right.
That makes sense. Oh, man, that's funny. Okay, so we should be safe. We just have to make sure nobody enters the area. Well, I mean, while you all asleep. Oh, we're going on watch?
Yeah, I believe we're taking turns. I don't mind going first.
I can go first.
I think we're all on equal
Take the
footing here with
last.
the darkness, so if we are going pair by pair, I can join anybody.
I will take the last watch.
Who would like the benefit of my company?
I would like to join Mr. Shod for Last Watch.
All right. O'Brien?
Oh, we're going first, so it'd be you and Shay, right?
Excellent. All right, so we are in the middle, Shay.
Todd, Timon, Jay, Catherine. As Mare and Abrea take their first watch, I need all of you to roll me a wisdom saving throw.
Ooh.
Sure.
Dare. Dare you do this?
Dum.
I really thought I had
16.
Your bad
modifiers for me.
juju.
15.
Your bad juju means nothing. I rolled an 18.
You're bad, Juju.
I think I had the lowest at 14.
Timon, what is your deepest fear as you're falling asleep tonight?
Oh man, you know my deepest fear is any one of these guys getting hurt. And like just not being there.
Uh-oh.
So, as you fall asleep, you begin to dream of tea parties of old. Tea with the queen, even. And you go to pour another glass when you find you can't pass through the wall in front of you. A wall made of glass. You reach out to punch. The glass doesn't shatter. And as you watch, a dagger, wielded by no hands, begins to spin around the room and meticulously, one by one, slice through the throat of all of the people you hold dear. Whereas you are trapped in a box and there's nothing that you can do. You punch again, the glass begins to crack. Your knuckles are bloody, but you don't care. You punch again, the glass shatters, and the dagger turns on you. And there's that dark moment where you're not sure what you even want the dagger to do, and it disappears and dissolves, leaving you in the room alone. You are awoken and take 10 psychic damage.
Ooh. It shocked me so much my hair got in my mouth.
Sorry, this is pre-long rest because I'm on the last watch. So I'm not sure if I should long rest and then take the 10 or take the 10 and then I will finish my long rest.
You're long rested. This is while Mare and Abrea are on watch.
Oh, the dream wakes me up. I got you.
Correct. This is like you are forcefully ejected from the sleeping world.
Yeah. I think for Mare and Abrea, what you see is Timmons goes from laying down to fully standing in like an instant. And is like just scanning the room, looking for something and breathing pretty hard. And then slowly, like eventually she sees like one person and kind of focuses on them for a while and then kind of comes into the rest of the room.
I rush over to her. Timmons, are you all right?
You're all right? Everything's fine?
Yes, we've just been sitting here. There's been nothing. Exceptionally boring. But what about you?
You see, like, she looks over her shoulder back at, like, where that little constructed palisade is with all the daggers. and stares at it for a little bit. And when she turns back, you can see there's just like a little bit of a bloody nose.
Mayor reaches in, finds a cloth or handkerchief or something, hands it over. Your nose. Do you think it's this place?
Sorry?
Well, you never really seem to have nightmares before.
I don't know that you see me sleep often enough to have a good basis for that.
Well, just so far on this trip.
Enough.
You definitely didn't have a nosebleed when you woke up. That's the first. Do you want me to heal you?
No. I mean, if something happens, sure, but I'm going to go to bed anyway.
Do you want to talk about it?
No, I don't. Thank you, though, on my survey.
Okay.
Is there something else we could do for you?
I think I'm just going to go back to sleep.
So Abrea would like to, when she goes back to sleep, create like a glass of tea and like put it next to her face when she sleeps. So therefore the aroma of the English tea kind of goes into her nose to kind of like hopefully soothe her a bit of something a bit more comfortable.
Oh, I will say that she is laying down and not moving. I'm not entirely certain that actually translates to sleep for a bit.
Okay. well, Brad thinks you're asleep. That's what they're going to try to do.
I don't know. I don't.
You know,
Never seen
Timmons.
things like that.
Yes?
You know what's really preventing you from sleeping right now?
I am incredibly scared to ask what it is.
You know, whenever you have a really bad day and you're worried about not being able to save people,
Yeah.
there's one face that often comes to mind that reminds you of that situation.
Yeah?
And you keep remembering why you keep everyone so close over and over and over.
Yeah. No, absolutely. The stream messed up Aaron. Forget Timmons. I think eventually she will try to actually sleep again because she knows that in order to keep everyone safe come morning that she will need to have slept, but it is a fight to get to the place where she can. Like, it's very much like a going into monastic, like the Order of Butler kind of traditions to navigate forcing herself to go to sleep.
It's a bit weird. Almost like it almost feels like the embrace of a loved one, like the mental version. When you find yourself trying to force yourself back to sleep, it's like there's something there that helps you along. And then from then on, you sleep the rest of the night peacefully until you're awoken for your watch.
Also, during the watch, Abrea is going to take out their black book. They're going to take out the tome Now that they think they got, because they're almost never on watch. They almost never got time to themselves. So they're like, oh, this is perfect. I get to talk to my friend. And they're going to open up the tome and be like, hi, kid.
Before you can even start writing, there's a sentence in gold ink waiting for you. Hello again, child of the forest.
Oh, you knew I was about to. Oh my God, you are so awesome. Oh, yeah, hi, how are you doing?
I am well. And how are you?
We're in a very strange place that seems to want to. Is like known about be a betrayer guy and keep the prison. I don't understand how. I don't understand how that works. But I think we're doing okay. Have you heard anything about this, like this betrayer guy?
Give me a second. I know many things. Unfortunately, I have been away from your world for a very long time.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I do not know.
No worries, we're going to change that. That's no worries. You should be able to come here. Okay. Well, I was just curious, so therefore I could know what to prepare for, because this place seems very dangerous.
Is there something else I could do to help?
I guess maybe I guess just if you could help keep us safe, I would appreciate it. I've never seen my family like this. Like everyone's really like scared or nervous. And we've been in tons of fights. We fought against a troll that was a spirit and we killed it. But like this place here, like everyone is like really, really nervous and scared, and I never see them like this. So I can't really do much because I'm only 12, but I want to help try to make them feel better. So if you had a way to, make them feel better or safer or help us keep us safe, I would love it.
We'll pause this for a moment. And then it begins to write again, but like slowly, almost where someone's like being very thoughtful about each word. And it says, what would make you feel safer?
I could do more to keep my family safe.
Like what?
Like maybe heal more, because they both were really injured, and when they were really injured, I was barely able to keep them awake, and so it was really sad. So maybe if you could help me keep them alive and well, I would appreciate
it. Mare, you're still awake, right?
Yeah, I am keeping an eye out beyond our little makeshift palisade thing, and I have half an eye on Abrea. When I see them get all super excited, I try to give them a little bit of privacy, but also... So what's the book saying?
As you ask this question, the pages of it begin to quickly flutter from the page that Abrea is on. They begin to turn and turn and turn and turn and turn and turn and turn. And Abrea just watches it in wonder. And then a single sentence appears. I must rest now. And Abrea, for the next 24 hours, you have 3 second-level spell slots that may only be used for healing.
Oh, wow,
And that is in addition to your normal spell slots.
Thank you. You're the best. You're the best. Oh my God. Wow. I cannot wait for us to meet. I feel much better now. I know they will have nothing to worry about. I will make sure my family is safe and secure, and they will not drop again. Get some rest. I'm really sorry I made you tired.
There is no response in the book.
Mm-hmm. They'll look up and says, and they'll kind of move their way over to Mara and says, they helped me. So
How
now,
did they help you?
I feel like I could do a bit more of healing. So now you all, if somehow you get hurt, I can keep you all safe.
That's quite a gift.
They're really nice.
And they didn't ask you for anything?
No, I mean, I'm already doing something for them. I would, they didn't know about they kind of whispered to her ear. They didn't know about the betrayer god because they haven't been here for a while. So if we bring them here, they'll be able to do a lot more. They could give us more, and enjoy the place. And then they get more, and they know more about this place. And we have a nice gap of friendship across the realm.
I think that sounds good in theory, but maybe we wait until maybe we can do this ourselves,
But they already gave me help. I have it. And then they kind of you probably see the green nature runes kind of flow around their wrists.
That is exceptionally beautiful. You don't really know that much about this thing, do you?
No, not much. I don't really get much chance to talk to them. They just really nice. They train kids like us, like Shay's brother.
I don't know. Something just doesn't seem quite right about it. And I just want you to be safe.
They've never harmed me or anything. They're really nice.
I know. I'm probably just being paranoid.
No, it's okay. Well, thank you for being concerned. I appreciate it. But yeah, they're I feel like, I'll be honest, because you know how everyone goes off of the different areas and do different things? They're one of the few ones that's always around. That's why I was kind of talking to Nesra, because when Nesra was talking about her connection with the god, I kind of felt the same with the book. Because, you all go all your missions, but I feel like they're always with me, even when nobody else is around. It has a nice feeling to it.
I imagine so. Are you sure that's something that belongs in a book? Or just seems like so many others, it's just sort of that faith is everywhere and not tied to a single object.
I'll be honest, Mayor. I don't know anything about religion. Every time Jethro talks about like gods and stuff like that, I'm just like, what are they talking about? So I don't know how this works. Nature, you can ask me so many questions about nature and animals, and I think I know 85% of it. Truly, probably only 25%, but I know 85% of it. But if you ask me about how religious things work, I don't know.
Well, we all have different specialties, and that's important, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm just happy that I feel much better. So if things get really dire, I just know you don't have nothing to worry about. So you can turn that frown upside down and know that I will keep you all safe and sound.
we're the ones who should be keeping you safe. You're the littlest.
Yeah, well, I have a very important job, and I want to make sure I do it to the best of my abilities. And now I can.
And when you call Brea little, the small raptor creature pops one eye open and just goes, and then falls back asleep.
And they gotta pet him, and they probably take the bone from out of their mouth. I'm pretty sure the chicken itself is probably completely digested. So it's just the bone, just like sticking out their mouth. Just like, oh, you gotta choke at this thing. Let's get this out. Okay. This feels good. Yeah, so just feel safe. You have nothing to worry about tomorrow. Today. Tomorrow. Whatever time it is. I don't know. I can't see the sun, so I can't tell you.
The time has become exceptionally weird, but the important thing is we're all getting some rest, and so far it seems to be rather calm.
Mm-hmm. Here we have a lot of things to keep us safe. We got Jester's trap. I have never seen their trap in any of my books before, so I don't even know what to call it. And then you have my alarm, so we're safe. We're good to go. And then we got eyes like a hawk, so we're good to go.
I believe so. Still worry about what happened with Timmons, but
I don't know what that was.
maybe I'd like to think that maybe she'd tell us, but
No.
no.
She has more secrets than probably the queen herself.
Probably. I think I'd have to agree with you on that.
I try asking her so many questions. It's hard. It's like trying to split a dam. It's almost impossible. Unless it's like really like simple questions like how to make this tea, you get it. But if you start to ask like questions about like what goes on behind what she's doing, impossible. It's okay. She likes her secrets, so I respect her boundaries.
You're very wise, you know.
I need to. that wisdom lesson got. But it's like, okay, so if you need anything, I wish I could talk to him some more. But I guess we'll just keep watching. But it's nice to be with you. I'm just glad. I just hope you feel better now.
I do feel better, and it's nice to keep the watch with you.
Yeah, I don't get to do it that much. This is a lot of fun.
No, and look at us, keeping watch, not getting into trouble.
Not at all. We are the best.
We are the best.
And they kind of like sit right next to each other and just like almost just like super focused looking, and then they kind of look up, put like a flower in Mara's hair, and then they go back to looking up.
So pat the flower. Thank you.
Yes, and watch.
Yeah.
The rest of your watch passes uneventfully, and then you wake up Jethrin and
Shay. Okay, your turn.
Thank you. We're all still alive, so that's a good sign.
Yes, it was remarkably quiet. No real thing interesting to note.
That's good. That's good. Well, both of you try and get some rest.
You too.
We will
All
be
right,
here.
Shay. Let's keep our eyes on this. How well do you see down here, by the way, is my question, Shay.
Dark.
Are you able to do the thingy with, like, lights?
No, I never learned that.
Do you... Well, I suppose we've got torches. Do you think I suppose it'll be fine.
I felt like any source of light might draw attention.
Yeah. Also, you know, tearing down a web of ancient magic, I'm pretty sure drew a fair amount of attention as well. But no, your point is very valid. So we're on this wonderful quest that we're on, and hopefully we'll make something of it. But a question for you: are you planning on letting your brother stay, like, doing what he's doing, or does that concern you? Because I'll be frank, like, it concerns the heck out of me.
It concerns me, but I can't exactly go in there and stop him unless he disappears and never comes home, and then my mom gets mad. The last thing we need is my mom going in that tunnel.
I mean, so I have to ask this question. We never got to meet your mother. But if... let's superimpose Master Kashad against your mother now. So, Master Kashad went with us down the tunnel, but you're more worried about your mother going into that tunnel.
You've never seen her when she's angry.
I've never seen her, period, but...
trust me on it. Those people in the tunnel would wish just not to deal with her.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I just...
Honestly, I would rather face down the entire Imperial army than making my mother mad.
Right. Well...
That's...
Remind me to meet your mother sometime.
I'll actually buy you a drink if you ever do get to meet her.
She sounds like an absolute character, so it's more a point of curiosity now than anything else.
You know, my mom's been a mercenary for all my life. Pretty sure. You know, she's got some stories. I feel like her glare could clear an entire country.
Well, maybe we need her down here keeping watch then.
I feel like whatever would down here would just let us leave. If she was down here, they'd be like, nope, free exit. There it is.
Oh well, we can all dream. I imagine.
I'll probably go see her once this is over. I got a couple things I need to talk to her about.
Yeah, I imagine so. We just gotta, I don't know, just figure out why the heck there are a bunch of potentially ancient fairies hanging out inside a mine, potentially abducting children and teaching them magic.
I mean, at least it's magic and they're not disappearing forever.
Yeah, you hear stories sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, just let us know if anything changes there, because, yeah, still don't trust it.
Well, yeah, I don't trust it all either. But for now, it keeps the peace. Shaya's happy. Dad seems less stressed. So, you know, there's that.
Well, stress relievers are a blessing, so if that's keeping him happy, then at least there's a bonus to it.
Yeah, that's what I figure.
Oh, well. Hopefully we won't be down here too much longer either. Not a big fan of underground spaces.
I'll agree with you on there. I don't like it down here.
It's just that the air doesn't circulate very well, you know? It's like, it just feels weird.
Or it's more like don't really being trapped in a room I can't leave.
That too. That too.
He like takes a peek down at his shirt to like look at berries.
See, there are two very sleepy eyes, but as you move your shirt, one of them pops open and the other one pops open, and there's two oversized eyes staring up at you.
You know, if I'm awake and on watch, you have to be awake and on watch.
He scurries with the front of your shirt and then jumps up into your hair.
There we go. Another set of eyes. I don't know,
Really
maybe he
big
can see
eyes.
in the dark.
Probably. I mean,
His
honestly,
eyes turn to look directly at Jethrin when he starts speaking.
yeah. Yeah, you can definitely see in the dark, can't you?
Oh, well, that's good.
Big old eyes. Unfortunately, my dear friend Gristle, I do not carry any fruit on me. Miss Timmons is the one that would have your two tasty snacks.
Nope. He reaches into his bag and takes one of those apple things out of it. Just hands it to Jethrin.
He's watching you very, very seriously right now.
I would try to cut it, but I can't see in the dark.
No worries, I've got this. I will cut it up. And then hold out some for berries.
He's like so excited about it that he goes to grab some and gets a piece of it out of your hand, but like starts to tumble down the front of Shay because he's like so excited. He like reaches and grabs for it, overextends himself, and just like starts falling down.
I'm just gonna try to extend a big paw down to let him land on it.
Yeah, he falls into your hand and just starts carefully now eating the apple piece by piece.
The apple's not going anywhere, bud. I promise you can have the rest of it as well.
I'll have to figure out if I can grow this just at the house. He seems to like it.
Where did we find this anyway?
You remember when we were stopped on a break and he blasted some out of a tree?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's this. I wonder if we can plant this at the house.
That whole chestnut. Just gonna explode some apples out of a tree.
I figure if I can save some of the seeds from it, maybe young Master Abrea can plant them.
Probably.
Barry's just finished the apple and starts using their position on your hand to start like climbing up your arm.
Yeah, my Jethrin, me or Shay?
Yep, up Jethrin's
Okay.
arm.
Yeah, I'll slow
He'll
climb
probably
up the
fall
arm.
asleep on your shoulder.
Yeah, I look at berries. I thought we have a deal. You're supposed to be on watch as well.
Barry's very seriously climbs up to the top of Jethrin's head and then keeps looking around.
I don't know if you feel understand a fist bump gesture, small one, but I'm gonna attempt to see if he'll give me a fist bump.
Barry's headbutts the hand.
That's
It's
good
like,
enough.
"Dump."
That's good enough.
I'm actually starting to wonder how intelligent he is. It scares me a bit.
As you start speaking, Jethrin's a fair amount taller than you, so Barry jumps off and glides down to land on top of your head.
Ah! Okay, can we not do this in the dark?
Meow.
You know I can't see you, right?
Meow.
That's what I thought. I have no idea what he's saying.
I'm not sure either. You know, however, This is something that if I go back to basics, as it were, and focus more on the gifts of my people as opposed to my other martial training, I might be able to speak with animals. But it's one of the things right now where our circumstances keep changing so much. It's taking so much time for me to decide how to focus my training. It's frustrating.
I'd say focus it on whatever you feel is going to be the best in the long run. I mean, we spend most of the time in the city.
For
It's
now.
very rare when we're out here roughing it.
Until the queen decides to turn to Rakshasa and kill us all, but
I mean...
Meow?
You didn't hear anything.
Berries, do you even know what a queen is?
No.
I'll take that as a no.
That was Gristlefer. Yes. Nah, I'm sure it'll all be fine. I'll figure it out. Honestly, I really do want to focus more time getting back to my roots, but I also want to focus. Honestly, I'm just getting better with handling animals in a martial way, so I don't know. There's time for it all, I imagine, hopefully.
There should be. Once we get out of this cave.
Well, let's make sure none of us expire in our sleep.
That sounds like a good plan.
Just get back to watching. Shall we roll a thing?
No need. Aries leans down, and it's close enough now that you can kind of see their two beady eyes out of the top of your eye. They're like basically using their claws to hang off the front of your braided hair.
He just kind of like looks up at him.
You see a strange symbol begins glowing on Barry's forehead in between the two eyes. Roll me an Arcana check.
Oh no. Oh wait, I'm a wizard. Never mind. That's good. No, it wasn't. I spoke too soon. That's a whole whopping 8.
You had one job.
I had one job. It's a +6.
You gather that it's some kind of arcane symbol that probably reacts to touch, but you're not entirely certain what the reaction will be. It's clearly some sort of arcane rune glowing in the creature's forehead.
Jasper, if I go very, very still, I apologize. He's just going to reach up and boop him on the head.
As you boop him on the head, you get some information conveyed to you through more of an intuitive sense than like a literal stream of information. As you touch it, you remember stories of wizards who would forge a deep bond with certain creatures and then use them as a familiar. You gather that Barry's is offering to become your familiar. And you can choose to accept or reject.
Confused wizard noises, but also he would accept because he loves the little butt. That's his baby.
Okay. Barry's becomes your familiar. You can add that to your character sheet, and should something happen to him, he can be resummoned in the same way that any other familiar could be resummoned.
Protect him always.
And then if you choose to, command him to do something, you may. He will act on your turn in initiative. And you also hear a voice telepathically communicating with you in your mind. Thank you. I'm glad we are friends.
I'm glad we're friends too. Wait, is this you?
Yes, I am on watch.
Okay. Wait, now I can communicate with you. Is your name really Berries? Do you have an actual name?
Yes, I do. But I much prefer the name Berries now.
Okay. All right, let's go and watch.
Yes, you are a kind and generous person.
Please don't make me cry in the middle of a cave.
Okay.
Is Shay speaking this out loud is my question.
I feel like he'd be trying to do it in his brain if it works, but he is sitting there a little misty-eyed.
It doesn't work.
Okay. Well, Jethro has just noted that Shay has not passed out or exploded, so he's fine.
He is a very misty-eyed wizard, however. He's just trying to, resume watch without, bawling his little baby eyes out.
Charlie Brown style, mouth open, tears.
Okay. Anything else you two would like to do on your watch?
Nope.
Excellent. So you wake up Kashad and Timmons?
Timmons? Yes, indeed.
Okay. How do you want to have some conversations on your break or on your watch, Kashad and Timmons?
I don't know. Does Timmons have something they want to say to me?
I mean,
we should let's break before that. Let's take a break really quick.
All right. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. A lot of interesting development happening. This episode's so good. Again, if you like what you see here, make sure to join us at our Discord. You should see it in the description section below. We have a section for spoilers, non-spoilers, fan art, and we would love to hear your thoughts about the campaign. And we'll be back for the second half of Reclamation. But until then, farewell for now.
Fade in. Start the scene. Kashad and Timmons being awoken for their watch at dawn, or at least it would be dawn if you could get any light in here. I pass the scene torch to you two. Timmons, what would you like to talk to Kashad about?
I think when Timmons gets up, the first thing that she does after she's satisfied that the other people are sleeping and does a perimeter of the whole room to double check it, she gets out a small little notebook that she carries that in-game we've seen once before, and she writes a little letter in it, and then goes to, where is Kashad set up?
It would be in a spot where he can sit with his back towards a wall while looking at the entrance.
I think she goes over to where he is and just kind of very tiredly slides down the wall to sit next to him.
Are you all right?
I find that I've been reminded of my inability to protect you far too frequently than I would like. He's weighing on
Protecting
me.
people is difficult.
Indeed. It is. How are you holding up, Kashad?
I'm fine. situation being all considered.
It does
Not like
seem.
being led by the nose.
Yes. I dislike the idea that something is targeting you in particular.
Indeed, but I've dealt with plenty of things in this world. What would be one more? As long as the rest of you are safe.
You see that, like, on Timon's face, she gets, like, this kind of wry grin. And she's looking out with you towards the rest of the room instead of at you. It's like, there are moments where you could not remind me of him more.
I take that as a compliment. I find my memory of him worsening as the years go on.
That's understandable.
Do you think that they're still alive out there?
No, I don't. I think that were he still alive, there's nothing that could have stopped him from getting back to you.
Perhaps. But I find more and more often that we are forced to make deals that we do not want. I wonder if he was forced to make such a decision.
He was never one for power to begin with. Its only use to him was in how he could protect and serve others.
Yes, perhaps more people should be like him, but very few are.
I am concerned for you, Kashad, on a very real kind of danger to your person level, but also the way that you take so much on to yourself.
Yes, perhaps that is a fault of mine, but it has been useful, at least for the short term. And soon enough, as you know, I'll be more than capable of taking care of things, with or without me. There are so many questions that I wish to have answered, and I worry I will not be able to take care of whatever the answer may be.
Well, I applaud you considering your own needs, although I am concerned that you believe yourself to be disposable.
I suppose everyone is disposable when it comes to the things they care about.
She turns away from like the rest of the room to look straight at you. Kushad, I have seen more reckless behavior from you in the last 24 hours than I think I have your entire life.
I have wondered what exactly led to what happened to me and my friends that day for a very long time. I have justified my survival for every conceivable reason. The idea that something or someone could explain to me why is intoxicating. However, I am simply playing someone else's game.
The only way to make it your game is to decide what you will and will not do.
Perhaps.
Where are your limits?
I will guarantee your survival and the others, of course. But I wonder if there are some things that must be done. Secrets that must be learned or forgotten. I want for you to promise me something, Timmons.
I'm listening.
Should we find something here, something that must never be allowed to be free, make sure you get my brother or my sister and Aubrey out of here safely. I won't allow for something to be let loose on the world because I was foolish enough to go seeking forgotten secrets.
I say this as a person who deals in secrets regularly. There are very few things that can remain secret. Things tend to come to light. And what you are asking of me would ask me to betray a promise I already keep.
I'm requesting that you simply guarantee the survival of a house. Nothing more. I suppose that is ultimately what you swore to do all those years ago.
For a minute, she looks miserably frustrated, and she kind of like leans her head back against the cable and closes her eyes. And there's a couple deep breaths. She's like, I am begging you not to throw your life away. Naturally, I will protect the others.
I have no interest in throwing my life away, but there are times where we are forced to make decisions, and the sacrifices must be made.
You are not an acceptable sacrifice.
We'll simply have to hope it never comes to that, then, won't we?
Indeed.
Something dreadful happened here, Timmons. I'm not sure who was responsible. I fear that Jethrin is unable to do what must be done. I do not believe that returning to this room was the most effective decision. There was another one that was, don't know, blessed or protected by something or someone ages ago, but being there had a effect on me.
What do you do if you do find your answers?
Hopefully we can move forward and return home as if nothing ever happened.
I can promise you, Kashad, that's already out of the realm of possibility. We are changed by our experiences. And take it for someone who lives with regret. There are no answers that make it go away.
Then we'll simply have to hope that whatever we find here is not stronger than I am.
Then we are, Kashad.
I imagine the others will be awake soon, and we'll have to figure out what to do about this lion creature.
And she'll straighten up and go back into butler mode. Of course, Mr. Kashad, I will make arrangements for breakfast. And starts busying herself with, making coffee and, I don't know, eggs, whatever I got.
Indeed. Anything else before the others begin to awake? Okay. You all may complete a long rest, and you find yourselves awakening in the pretty early hours of the morning, still stuck inside this prison.
Good morning.
Good
Young
morning.
Master Brea.
Morning.
Let's just move over now. Like, greeting each person as I hand them something hot to drink.
I have sat up and I'm kind of like doing the thing where you're kind of like, what's the word for it? Where you like sit on your knees? What is it? Well, there's a word for it. You know when like you're
Sitting with Seiza?
where you're like your butt's gonna be on your heels, basically. You know what I mean? Like your legs are folded underneath you.
Yeah, it's still kind of
I don't know what
kneeling.
it's called.
I don't know what the word for that is, but there's a proper word. But anyway, I am sat there and I have my prayer book open and I am just busy preparing some prayers for the day, i.e. choosing my spells.
Okay, it's Mage Armor.
Indeed. Any other preparations?
Timmons does the thing like from Batman v Superman where she like cocks her arms like they're weapons. Yeah.
I know that from a wrestler. So, it was Superman punch. Beautiful. I love that movie.
This hand is for healing, and this hand is for pain.
Yep. It says so in D&D Beyond.
You're real right.
Anybody planning to get married this morning? Do I need to prepare a ceremony? No?
I mean, if you're asking Sir Jethrin, what is he going to do?
Marina, any weddings planned this morning?
Hey, unfortunately.
No? All right. Well, then I'll
Alas.
prep heroism. No weddings this morning. Oh.
Not that you know of.
Yeah.
Okay.
I only changed 3 spells, so I imagine that probably takes me like 15 or so minutes to commit certain prayers to memory.
Okay, so are we going to go left to talk to the lion, or are we going to keep going right?
I don't know how much there is left to see rather than going left.
There was another pathway on the other side.
Oh, Lockie, are you hungry?
Ooh?
The mimic.
Waiting to see if Lockie's still around. I didn't look before we fell asleep, so.
Yeah. Oh no, we lost track of our members.
You do not see Lockie.
Uh-oh.
You can investigate or try to make a perception check to see if you can find him, but he's not immediately visible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Investigate.
I'm gonna perceive.
Ooh.
Ouch.
19 plus 26.
Ooh.
6.
You know, Maravina, you actually helped Jethrin create the makeshift palisade of sorts the previous evening, which is how you know that the wooden rack that the daggers were sitting on used to be immaculately made. Except now, apparently, there's a small portion where the wood is a bit knobby. That's a bit odd.
Look at this. I pointed out. Think our
Palisade?
friend think our friend decided to had better things to do.
Timmons looks it over and is like, I don't get it.
As long as nothing tries to bite me while I collect these javelins, then we have no problem.
Well,
Maybe Lockie went back to the other room.
Makes sense.
Are you all still talking about that mimic?
well, the question is whether or not we can really let it go. It has some rather disturbing long-term plans that, well, it's kind of our fault that it has them.
To eat demons.
Why is that disturbing? It's a circle of life, but with demons.
The circle of life with demons.
I'm
That's
not entirely
definitely
sure.
no song my
Demons.
father ever sang to me, but yes.
No, I don't know. I don't trust letting it out back into this space, even if it is a prison that it's highly unlikely anyone would ever enter besides us. It still doesn't feel right.
I mean, Marovina, your options are kill a sentient creature or let it be existing. Like, those are the two choices. Are you suggesting we go murder Lucky?
Maybe?
I strenuously object.
I don't want to.
Nothing but helpful.
All right. All right, we'll let it go. Maybe it'll be helpful to us later on.
Okay.
Well, that's
Speaking
rather utilitarian of you.
Lucky?
Yes.
Where are you?
Lion, I barely know him.
That wasn't funny, sir. I'm right here.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
I don't get it at all. Where are you? And like Timmons is just like looking around the room trying to figure out where Lucky is.
It's coming from the rack of daggers. Is where the voice is coming from.
I kind of point to it. He's here.
You knew the whole time and you didn't tell me?
Well, it just...
And you chose to have this kind of conversation in front of him?
Well,
Pretty messed up.
I agree. Although, I mean, I guess you can tell that my answer was sincere. I have no qualms
Well, if you
with
know
your
someone is-
existence.
If you know someone is there, and they don't know that you're there, but you know that they're there, and you want to say something, but you don't mind them knowing, then I don't know if it's messed up.
I woke up with a headache, and you are making it worse.
Well, this way we just have a better grasp on the reality of the situation between us.
No, I think I know what he means. He's saying... Yeah, no, I don't get it, actually. I don't got it.
He's saying that because I knew that you were there and you didn't know that I knew that you were there, then I could sort of poke around and see what your reaction would be.
That thing.
No evidence of the middle premise.
I don't also see
it is
any
time.
evidence of the final premise.
I believe it is time for us to go now.
Speaking of final premise, yes, Master Kashar is entirely correct. And personally, my suggestion is that we speak to the ancient entity that could have had all the opportunity to probably come in here and eat us while we were sleeping, but did not.
He jumps off of the weapons rack. He said, "Excellent planning. You all go do that, and I'll be guarding the door right here. Right here. Yep." Like scurries on his little legs over to the front door.
Good plan.
Loki doesn't like the big cat.
Do any of you,
Hey, Bob.
are you able to identify these daggers? I'm just curious if they are of special make. Ongoing, if it was only for the webs that you all could see and I could not.
All I can do at this point in time is to tell you if they are magical or not what they might do. And that would prevent me from smacking things in wonderfully exploding fashion later on.
Maybe a question on our way out. Can we take one of each color just in case? Like there are further webs or strings or something in the future?
It's an excellent plan.
They are rather heavy, but I do already have, and I sort of pull out the green and the violet one. I took these. Seemed couldn't carry them. They're rather heavy.
Am I not surprised? Good thinking, young Mistress Maravina.
Well, we had leftovers.
Anyone else already carrying a dagger on their person?
No.
Not particularly.
Oh, let's carry a dagger.
I mean one of these, Mr. Kashar.
No, I'll let you all play with your new toys.
Okay. I guess off we go talk to the lion person.
I think it's only polite.
Okay. They start making their way over to the...
As we leave, I toss Lockie a little bit of the breakfast he didn't eat. Try and keep him sated. I'm sorry I was mean to you.
He gobbles it up whole. Forgiveness is best served on a plate.
I thought maybe it would be.
All right. You'll make your way towards the lion creature? Okay. And you find yourself here. Token copy in progress. Token copy in progress. Tokens copied.
So I would tell them, like, so you make this left here, and when you turn around to the right, that's where my owl got ate.
I see. Well, hopefully we don't get eaten. And it will be nice to meet a potential cousin. I don't know.
Okay. And you start walking towards the Sphinx.
the large lion creature.
Large lion creature.
Yeah, I will be right next to Cobra.
Okay. How close are you getting?
They're just walking over.
I want to use
Here?
I want to use my movement speed to be ahead of wherever any member of this family is.
Okay.
I would
Todd
like
is in the front.
to be
Second.
You can move yourself.
Okay.
a little bit behind, but
Thought
can
you were
I be
doing it.
stealthy and try and hide a little bit?
Sure. Roll stealth and put it into chat. Well, people are standing in front of you, Abrea, but what would you like to see as everyone approaches?
Go. I guess they first approached you. It was like, "Hi, I'm Abrea. What's your name?"
Hello, child of the forest. You may call me M. My name is unpronounceable to you.
I will sort of touch my fingers to my forehead and give him a salute like that, a leonine greeting of respect, just because I'm seeing a giant lion with wings.
Hello, leader of the pride.
You're really
Hello
smart.
to you.
How do you know who we are?
Hmm?
How do you know who we are?
I do not see things in the way that you see things. My method is different.
Wow. Can you show us?
Unfortunately not.
Oh. I wonder if it's like Ian and his true sex.
I'm afraid that your brain is not structured to handle it.
Oh, that makes sense. I'm only 12. When I get
This
older.
person. Does this person look like the person I saw in the vision?
Similar. The coat is different. But it very much looks the same in the sense that what you saw previously was a winged lion creature.
Are you the only one of your kind here?
Now? Yes.
Interesting. Forgive my manners. You may refer to me for our conversation as K.
As you wish. Okay.
How is it that you've come to find yourself in this location?
That is a complicated story. One that I am not certain if you have the time for. So I will answer your question with a question of my own. How do you believe that a world is made?
Do I have an answer for that question?
Maybe one just gets shot to think about how worlds are created.
I don't know the rules of your world.
I mean, any philosophical theory is potentially as likely as the next one. What's Kashad's opinion on such things?
Imagine each world has some sort of core or thing that anchors it into this reality, and from it all other things are created or destroyed.
And what sort of thing do you think is powerful enough to act as such a core?
Suppose it could be anything. Imagine something with enough magical weight to exist on its own.
Indeed.
Are you related to such a thing?
My kind does not come from this world.
In which world do you come from?
One that brims with the power of creation. When a world is made, the makers will often leave one of my kind to bind the fabric of space and time together. Such magics are complicated, and a creature that inherently contains the power of creation can make the process much easier. Were you to kill me now
What?
and strike me down, the whole world you see around you would fall apart at the seams and disappear into nothing.
Can I make an insight check?
Sure.
I mean, that's a rather bold statement.
Can I make a history check? Do I know of any,
Sure.
like, apocalyptic events? Like, is there an ice age in this universe?
Sure.
12.
Natural 20!
Nice.
Oh.
I know all of history. I know all of history.
That is not how natural 20s work.
I was there at the beginning.
Why you had to do that while I was drinking soda? I was spitting out
the
my
alpha.
tablet.
I was the alpha and the omega.
Okay. What did everyone else get that wanted to roll?
Brea is just eyes just wide open, like probably his mouth are open and maybe like drool coming out their cheek. I think the only thing they do is maybe like cast Goodberry and give him one. They're just a complete shock.
Yeah, I'm just hanging out in the. Actually, you know what? Can I roll a religion check? Would that be?
Sure.
12.
Yeah. So 12, 17, and 12, none of those are going to do it, I'm afraid. For Shay got a natural 20 on insight.
Look here,
dude.
D&D Beyond is freaking kind, and I'm suspicious of it. It's going to start failing me now. I can tell you this now.
Please don't do that. We got a big fight coming.
The problem is, as only you are aware, Ari, Shay's insight into this is deeply complex, more than Shay knows. So I need a minute to resolve that one.
It's fine. Shay is talking to berries in the meantime.
So, Kashad, you have memories that flash into your mind, much the same as they did before. This time, without you being able to put up a resistance. And you see the images that you saw previously of the 5 robed people around the lion creature. And this time you watch as they cast magics that start to destroy this creature, breaking it apart, pieces of it that fall off and weave themselves into like a thread that looks like it's making a tapestry. And as they finish destroying the creature, the tapestry takes hold, but something about it is wrong, and it cannot stay together. And instead, it explodes, and you watch as the energy from this explosion, this light of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, it fights against magical shields created by these creatures. And before you can see which wins out, the daydream dissolves.
Understand. What happened? Why are you here in the first place?
Was placed here by the creators of this world.
For what purpose?
To hold the world together.
One before you was eliminated. Well, the world did not die. Why would someone want to do that?
That was one of my brethren. They were not here to anchor the world. They were brought here by force in an attempt to create a new one.
Why would someone do that? What would be the point of creating a new world on top of this one?
You do not see the value in creating a world of your own making that is yours and yours alone to rule.
Is this the original world that was here, or is this a replacement for another one?
That question is complex enough that I'm afraid not even I can answer.
Before I left for my long journey, one of my teachers back in the Pride was Mistress Hiroshima, and I asked her once, how do you make an apple pie? And she gave an answer very similar to yours. If you really want to make an apple pie, first you have to create the universe from scratch.
That is wise.
So is she.
Brad just looks at Timmons.
Shay. You have a really uncomfortable experience. It's like a memory, but you know that it's not you. It couldn't have been you. That doesn't make any sense. But you have a memory of a small boy with red hair petting a creature that looked a lot like this, except the one that this little boy is petting is probably a baby. It's much smaller. It has the same wings, the same space, the same general essence. You know it's the same creature, but that one is a baby.
Confused wizard noises. That's all he's got right now. Confused wizard noises.
What does that even sound like?
Just the furrowed brow and the
Oh.
I cast made a sheet of fire
Nani?
magic missiles.
What? Shay is in processing. What does that mean? Mode, because he doesn't understand.
I apologize. A lot of this is going very far over my head. I understood this to be a prison of sorts for someone. Who was being imprisoned? The ones who wanted to make the new world? Or...
Indeed. One of the 5 was imprisoned in this place.
It was.
Indeed. Through events which I foresaw, but could not intervene in, they were killed.
Oh.
Why were they imprisoned?
For their crimes against the world. Do you know what it is like to exist in a world that is almost made, but not quite? Think of the unimaginable and untold pain of a world almost to be, but that never gets the opportunity to exist.
I don't understand. No person could do that. Oh, well, I don't know of no magic I can undo creation or to build a world.
Indeed, it is complex magics. That which of it remains accessible in this world, you could find behind me.
Why did this place open for us?
You were imbued against your will with energies that you did not ask for. And yet still you were able to master.
Why?
Were you one of the 5 and you were able to escape? Would you not see the value in a key that could open the other doors?
As who are these 5?
The betrayers.
How many of them are left?
3.
Where are they?
Imprisoned in other places throughout this world. 1 was killed here. A 2nd was destroyed on another continent through actions of another group of adventurers. About 16 years ago.
These makers, who are they?
The ones that created this world?
To create any of the worlds? Why do they not deal with this problem themselves instead of leaving so much to happenstance?
Those who make a country are not always the ones fit to rule it. Those who build a town are not always the best person to govern it. And those that create a world are not always the appropriate ones to oversee it.
Am I the only one that can open these prisons?
It is likely. You're the only one that I am aware of.
Then should I no longer exist, these creatures would be imprisoned forever, would they not?
No. If you were to die in 7 years, there would be another key made.
Because the first two got killed. So somebody had to go into the first two places to kill them.
Then how does one kill these things?
Their imprisonment leaves them weakened. But the power to create a world, there's certainly strength in that. Even weakened, they are formidable foes.
Do you want us to do it?
I can ask nothing of humanity or the other races that may call a plane their home. Such is not my role.
May I ask you a question?
What you choose must be up to you.
Oh.
Master, my friend had mentioned to me in something that he had seen about a woman that attempted to undo some damage that was caused by these people. Who was this woman?
Celestial. She thought to undo damage wrought by her kin and found herself permanently marked.
So you're saying she was kind of like a sixth of the five?
Perhaps. There are many.
Wait, are they gods?
Angels would be a closer name.
Oh. So the makers are also, or the betrayers, are they also like angels in a way, or are they like gods?
The betrayers were like the angels.
Why doesn't the gods do anything?
They don't always intervene that way, Master Robert.
It can also be difficult to believe that your most loyal servants have tried to take your own power by force.
Yeah.
Or, in some ways, the only difference between an angel and a god is the ability to make worlds.
Yeah, that must hurt. Do you want to stay here? This must be lonely.
I do not want. I am a creature of duty and service.
Oh,
I fulfill my role so that all the people of all the world may live.
when is your responsibility met?
Were this world to come to an end, I would return from whence I came and become a part of the creation of another world. I would get to see it sprout. I would get to see how the people, the places, and the things in that world evolve and change as time goes by.
And is the core of the world near here? Or are you waiting here for something else?
I am the world's core. Were you to strike me down, this world would fall apart at the seams.
Wait.
Why do you wait here?
What were you saying, Kashad?
Why do you wait here specifically instead of some other place?
Do you know of a better place than a prison that should be inaccessible? Alas, I am also tasked with guarding the knowledge behind me.
Wait, so I heard a rumor that you changed a person to make them younger. Is that true?
Well, I don't know that you would be served by being younger, but would you like to be older, Abrea?
Wait, what?
Would you like to be older?
I never thought of that. No. 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 Thank you, though.
Or perhaps the celestial creature that you carry with you?
No name yet. Do you want to be older?
Do you know what No Name Yet is, by any chance?
Indeed.
What is
Could you
the name?
explain a bit to us?
Mm-hmm. And the person who's watching them.
No Name Yet is a creature that cannot exist, born from the only thing that could break such a rule, a god, created by Anasfate themselves.
Wow, you hear that? Your mom is a god. And they'll bring no name yet to that kind of like look towards them and speak in celestial. Would you want to be older? You translate with that, yes or?
You gotta improve your celestial understanding for that.
I know.
The No Name Yet said,
Would you like to be bigger and stronger and older, or would you like to still remain a baby and wait for later?
They say, you pick.
Well, it'd be nice if you were bigger. If you were bigger, then yeah, if you were bigger, would it be easier to go hunt? And then I could, because when you hunt, right now, when you hunt, you only get like little small things. It'd be easier if you're bigger and I could train you to hunt and you could get like deers and like bisons and big creatures. Would you like to eat big things? Or would you like to still eat small things and wait until you're bigger to eat big things?
Watch as the creature in front of you begins to slowly grow and grow and grow until they reach the size of a large creature.
Oh!
One that you could easily ride upon their back.
Oh, you can definitely eat a bison now.
Is there any chance? Is there any chance, Jetham says, looking at No Name Yet, that maybe you could give me wings like you have if you're handing out gifts?
Would you like to fly?
I mean, your wings are exceptionally impressive and beautiful. So if I could have wings, I would probably enjoy having wings. I won't deny that.
There is such a gift that exists within the chest behind me. But that is where your party meets its conundrum.
I don't get it.
Explain.
Behind me exist things that you will inevitably need. Tools that will serve you on your future journeys. Yet, should you collect them, it will leave the world inevitably and forever altered and changed. Such is the question. Is it better to exist in a world that you understand, but lack the tools to make any change? Or is it better to exist in a world where you have tools to make change, but you do not understand?
A DM question quickly, because I can't find my notebook this morning. What was the god of chaos's name again?
Uexne.
Uexne. So I will say, I personally have always understood the forces of Anasvita and Uexne to be in concert. Chaos breeds new life. Otherwise, there's only stagnation. That's my own understanding of things. I do not speak for everyone here.
Indeed.
Yes, that my very existence is a tool for change or disorder.
It makes sense. Nature is change. We transition. We have the 4 seasons is all about change. And so chaos is necessary in order for the world to thrive. A nice balance. Can't have all chaos, otherwise nothing could exist. That's what nature told me. Would you allow us to get the tools?
Indeed. But you would find the world that you return to is not the one that you left behind.
What do you all think? Mayor, would you like to get some tools?
Yes, I absolutely would like some tools, and I think it's I don't know. Feel like we're stuck one way or the other and might as well get the tools to help us out. And I do think it's pretty interesting. You can write no name yet now. Didn't expect that.
Why is she super big? They're super big right now. What about you, Shay Timmons? Would you like the tools? Shay? Timmons?
I don't really care about the tools, to be honest. The world's gonna change if we take stuff or not. Not to be like overly personal with you. How long have you been here?
Beginning.
Of like time, or the beginning of like this cave?
Time. But not this world's time. I mean, from the beginning of it all.
Okay. I guess it's weird. How long ago were you like small?
I suppose it has been quite some time. Perhaps 50 millennia?
Okay, well, that doesn't make any sense then.
So it sounds like everyone's going with the tools. Timmons, what would you like? Would you like to get the tools?
I don't like this at all. I like a world that I understand. I've spent my entire life working on understanding people and our place in it. But I mean, how could I possibly, if there's something that could keep you safe, I can't just forego that. I do not know. I don't know how to keep you safe in an unfamiliar world when I'm struggling to do so in a familiar one.
I understand some of your feelings, Miss Timmons. Marovna and I had a short conversation the other day, and I expressed some of my own concerns. I find that quite rapidly I'm becoming incapable of doing my job. And not due to incompetence, but due to the fact that my help is less and less necessary. So if something that can be offered here can help me serve the good of this house and maintain necessary for longer, then I need to fulfill my purpose. And I don't know how much of that resonates with you.
I know what it is like to fail. I think that there's nothing I would not do to not fail ever again. I'm not sure which of these options even would allow me but I do take her meaning.
It appears we will be taking whatever gamble has been offered. Unless there is anyone who wishes to change their vote.
No, this is normal. To me, this is nature.
Pass. And the creature stands up and gets to the side and lays back down. You all find within the chest some items that I will discuss with all of you offline.
As everyone moves into this room to look at what's there, I would like to stop and talk to him for just a second and be like,
So,
is there something in there that will help me to keep them safe?
yes. But it is you that is owed the greatest apology of all.
Well,
The queen is dead. Long live the king. And that is where we're going to end tonight's episode.
What? What?
What?
Okay.
Go back. I'm confused. Reload the last save.
Last save. Oh, Zach, how could you do such a thing? See, this is where I got my cliffhangers from Guys of Color. I get it from Zach over here, Zachary. Wow, what an episode. Okay. Amazing. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm pretty sure we're gonna be talking about this for a solid hour or so. But again, if you like what you see here, make sure to join our Discord, which should be in the description section below. I hate how I have to put producer mind on after cliffhangers like this, because I'm like, okay, must refocus. And we look forward to seeing you all for the next episode of Reclamation. But until then, farewell for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.